Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We're back on Microsoft Flight Simulator and well, we've just had Christmas and got a couple of Steam vouchers and I thought, what can I use this for? I've not got a lot for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I thought, right, I'm going to go in there and have a look, see if I can buy myself a new aircraft. And I found this one. This is the Coronado Archer 2, the 181 Archer 2. Now, when I was doing my flight training, I used to fly this one in real life, so this was an absolute must for me. Picked it up from the marketplace. It wasn't in the sale, so it was about, I think it's about 17 quid, something like that, but has brought back some happy memories. So there's a couple of other things I did buy as well, scenery wise, which we'll talk about as we get going. But what I thought we'd do today is we would take off from Blackpool and we'll purely go visually over the southern tip of the English Lake District, and we'll fly low over Lake Windermere. We'll go towards Grasmere over Rydal Water and then turn out left towards the coast and come back over Coniston Water and then back down to Blackpool, just for a little round trip, which is actually, if you go to Blackpool Airport and you want to do a pleasure cruise, that is a common little route that they will take you on. So without further ado, let's get into the PA-28 Archer 2, and what we'll do is we will put on the landing lights for takeoff. Of course we need the beacon. Everything else I've already got set up, ready to go. There is no flight plan. We're literally going to take off, go, come round, land back at Blackpool. Just pleasure flying, purely pleasure flying. We're going to pretend there's nobody else in the air. So let's get the parking brake off. We'll put in one stage of flap, shall we, for the takeoff, which will help us get ahead. Let's put the throttle in. Just hold the rudder just so we can stay as straight as we can. I think we need to rotate about 80 miles per hour, as I recall, in this aircraft. But what I'll find is, because I put the stage of flap in, it wants to take off on its own. So literally, if I just hold the rudder, it's trying to lift now, and there it is. It's lifting on its own. I'm not doing that with the stick. It's done that all on its own. So we're going to fly out towards the coast here, and then we're going to turn right, and this is where you'll get to have a look at one of the scenery packs that I got. I got the scenery, the Orbix Central scenery, which includes a lot of landmarks in the northwest actually. So if we take a look back, Blackpool Airport itself has a little bit more scenery, but the biggest change you'll see is you look down the coast there, which is the way we're headed. You can see the big one of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. You can see the South Pier, the Central Pier and the North Pier are all now in the game properly. Blackpool Tower's slightly upgraded as well, but we'll take a look at those. Let's just turn and follow the coast along. Probably gonna cruise at about between 2,500 and 3,000 feet, because as you would imagine, we've got a few mountains ahead of us. You can already see them there, and we don't want to come a cropper with those, certainly. So what I will do for now is I'll just try and trim the aircraft a little bit so that we can go straight and level. We'll climb after this, so let me just do that. Should reduce the throttle a little bit as well. Better. Try and get as straight and level as I can, and we'll take a look outside. There we go. There is no autopilot on this, by the way, as you would expect in a trainer, so you've got to do a lot of it yourself, which is fine. We can do that. Let's take a look outside. Blackpool Airport is behind us. There's the South Pier, complete with its little bungee jump apparatus there right on the end. I won't mention that stadium down there because, being a Preston fan, I do not want to talk about that. There's the central pier, and there's Blackpool Tower. Blackpool Tower was actually not on fire. I don't know if you saw the recent news. They scrambled 5 or 6 fire crews to it. Someone had said it was on fire, but actually it was just some orange netting that was fluttering about at the top of the tower. It did seem a very strange place for a fire, but there you go. That was in the news in the last week. So we are heading along the coast here, Cleveland's, Fleetwood, etc. And this coastline has really been upgraded now due to this Orbix scenery pack that I got. And that's our frequency change approved, but I'm letting the co-pilot take care of that.
Blackpool approach Golf, Tango India November, is type PA 28 5 miles north of Blackpool, 2,000 feet. Request flight following.
Okay, so we're getting a flight following. They'll keep an eye on us. Let me just trim the aircraft a little bit more. There we are, that's better. So we've already got the correct altimeter or altimeter, depending where you are. That's already set. So here we are in the cruise. So we're heading across the bay, Morecambe Bay, and we're going towards Carking-Cartmel, which I think Carking-Cartmel Airfield, I think now is only used for parachute jumping and microlights, as I recall. I don't think there are general aircraft such as this landing at Cork anymore. It is a World War II airfield actually, which has been repurposed. There's a couple of them up in the Lake District. Walney Island is another one actually over to the left near Barrow-in-Furness. So we'll make it across the bay. That little point of interest you can see showing up there, I think that is Carking-Cartmel. We're kind of going to the left of that. And then we should see Lake Windermere pretty much straight after that. So we'll have a cruise down Lake Windermere. And we'll cover this southern tip of the lakes. So quite nice scenery in this sim, and very lifelike, as you would expect with the way it's put into the sim. I've set the weather to clear, by the way. I didn't want to fly over the lakes and put any clouds on. That wouldn't have been any good. Just so you get to see what I want you to see. So I'm just altering that trim again. It is like that in real life. You take your eye off for a second and you can easily creep up and gain height, or indeed drop height without even realising. And I did want to be about 3,000 feet ish, between 2,500 and 3,000. So we're just about there. Let's just hop back in, take a look around. It's actually quite a nice aircraft, this. Well modelled in the back. So there is a cargo hold as well on the side that you can open and close. The door is all open. We've also got a little iPad here which has various things on it that you can do. As you can see, you can open the doors, you can add a co-pilot, take a co-pilot away, etc, etc. You can also swap out the GPS if you don't want the standard one. I think the one that's in there is a GNS 430. Now, I don't know how to use that one. I've been using the Garmin 1000 in the Cessna 172. I've got quite used to that. This one's a little bit different. There's checklists as well in there if you want them. So let's put that away. There it goes into its pocket. That's quite a nice touch, isn't it? It's getting a little bit of screen tearing, I've noticed, for some reason. bit odd. Anyway, it's 12 miles to Cork, so we'll fly over Cork. If you look in the distance, actually, to the left of Cork, you can see Lake Windermere. So it appears quite early. That's where we're heading. We'll go as far as we'll go over Windermere. We'll go over Bowness, the town at one side of Windermere, and then we'll fly over Ambleside, the town of Ambleside, which is at the north end of Lake Windermere, and then we'll carry on just over the mountain slightly, and we've got Rydal Water and Grasmere, and then to the left of that we've got Easdale Tarn. There's actually a really nice walk from Grasmere up to Easdale Tarn that some of you locals will be familiar with. Talk about that when we get there. And then what we'll do is we'll come back over the Old Man of Coniston, we'll fly down Coniston Water itself, and then we'll head back into Blackpool. So nice little round trip, nice and relaxing, just what we want. So cruising along, we're still climbing 170 feet per minute, so we want to bring that down a little bit. Let me just retrim the aircraft. It just needs constant adjustment just to keep it where we need it to be. And of course we do get buffeted by the weather a little bit, that also affects us. But the nose is still lifting slightly. So there's Fleetwood behind us. Blackpool is off in the distance. So when you're coming back into Blackpool, very distinctive headland behind there, so it's fairly easy to find Blackpool by sight, as you'll see on our way back. You could of course do a full sort of tour of the Lake District from here, which will be quite interesting. We may do that at a later stage, but I thought for this one, and I'm new to this aircraft in the sim as well, we'll just do this southern tip and have a quick look. So as I mentioned before we took off, I'm not actually using the GPS on this flight, it's purely by sight only, but it's fairly straightforward, so we shouldn't get lost. Cork's 6.5 miles away. We'll take a look at that as we fly over. Off to the left there, there's Walney Island I was telling you about, which is the other World War II airfield that was in use. Over there we've got the Isle of Man, you can see it on a clear day, that's the Isle of Man. Over to the left hand side. So lovely. It's a great sim, this. Between this and the train sims we've got, it's brilliant. And then of course we got the trucking sims. Plenty of choice. So there's my autopilot taking care of all the air traffic control. Right, so we're going to get some chatter on this channel, but that's fine. There is Windermere, Lake Windermere, dead ahead. Quite a long, is it the longest? Or is Coniston the longest? I think Windermere may be the longest, but it has a big kink right in the middle of it, so it's not exactly straight. So I think when Donald Campbell did his water speed record attempt, he did it on Coniston Water because it's straight, and Windermere also has quite a few little islands in the middle which obstructs a good run on the water. So it probably made sense to do it on Coniston Water. There's Cork as we look down on it. So we're just under 3,500 feet. Nobody parachuting today, which is good. Now, I'm assuming that if I wanted to land there, I could land there. Because if people are parachuting, then they're obviously leaving from some sizable aircraft. So I don't know if all the runways are still in use, but it looks as if there's at least 2 of them there. So let's hop back in and we'll pick up this southern tip of Lake Windermere and follow it round. So those mountains off to the left are the ones that are around Coniston, so we'll be coming back across there. Gotta love it how the sun makes its way across the cockpit. Very, very slowly it creeps across as we progress. Really nice detail in this sim. And I think what we probably could do is, if we start to take some speed off, we can probably descend a little bit and fly lowish over Lake Windermere. You know, we're following our own rules. We're not subject to air traffic particularly on this run, so we can kind of do what we like. As long as we don't hit the mountains, we'll be good. But I mean, Lake Windermere is long enough to be able to see if we've got any obstruction coming up, so should be all right. Let's get down to sort of 1500 or something. Then we'll see how we are. This being the southern tip of the Lake District, it does get quite popular down in Windermere and down in Bowness itself, the town of Bowness. So you got Windermere, at the top, and then you travel down from the town of Windermere. You travel down about 1.5 miles, 2 miles down to Bowness on Windermere, which is the town you'll see coming up on your right hand side, which is right next to the lake itself. But it is because this is the southern tip of the Lake District. This is one of the most popular lakes that's visited. So we're coming up on 2,000 feet. Speed's good. It's quite easy to fly this aircraft actually. I'm starting in the sim very basic. I've not even tried airliners yet. Not tried any of the Airbuses, etc, etc. I'm just doing a lot of the sort of general aviation flying. I think I've been away from the UK flying once so far in the sim. It's just about refamiliarising myself with the controls and the GPSs, etc, etc. And then I'll go a bit further afield. But I've got to say, I'm really enjoying it, especially with the new scenery packs that I've got. So I did say that I got the UK Central pack, which covers Liverpool, Manchester, North Wales, and this part of the world here as well. I did also get the Orbix North UK scenery pack as well. That was £4 in the sale. I think the sale's still on for a couple of days, but they make quite a big difference. I did say I wasn't going to spend a load of money on Flight Sim, but you can see what it looks like. You see how good it looks. Once it gets its hooks into you, it's going to be expensive, and I need to keep my eye on the altitude. So what I'm going to do, we're about 800, just over 800 feet, so I'm just going to trim a little bit, and we'll cruise along Lake Windermere for a little while, I think. Carrick Airfield is off to the south. I quite like this view. You know, you zoom in with the mouse. I quite like this view from the tail. You see what I mean about all the islands in the middle of Lake Windermere? There's quite a few. So if you're doing a water speed record, then unfortunately, you know, you wouldn't have the full run of the whole piece of water, which is a shame. On the right hand side, here's Bowness coming up. You see the town of Bowness coming up just off the nose to the right. Now let's just make sure we don't run out of power, because that wouldn't be good. Actually, if you look on the channel, about a year or so ago, I did put on a little video of when I took a boat trip from here, where the cursor is, from Bowness out around these islands and back. I did a little video on there. If you want to see what the real life Lake Windermere actually looks like, you can do that. Let's just zoom back out again. So there's Bowness right there. If we follow it round, we will follow it all the way around to Ambleside, which is at this northern tip of Lake Windermere. So we'll just pop back inside. We'll gain a little bit of height, I think, because you can see the mountains coming up right at the end. Ambleside itself, the town of Ambleside, is right there above the nose right now, right at the edge. So we took off from runway 28 at Blackpool, so we'll come back in from the opposite side, which is runway 10, same runway, opposite direction. So we'll get permission to land there on our way back. Hopefully that goes all okay, and we'll fly straight in. We probably won't go to the entry pattern. This is the northernmost tip of Lake Windermere. There's Ambleside down there to the right of the nose. I was there in November. It's quite a nice little town. We'll gain a little bit of height. And if we follow just between these mountains, we should come upon Rydalwater and Grasmere. Grasmere is quite nice. It's more like a little village than a town. Lots of nice tea shops and things like that, souvenir shops, etc. It's quite nice little place. Very pleasant. Lots of towns and things as well around this area, which obviously you don't always see when you're touring by car, but from the air there's a lot to look at. This is Rydalwater now, just below us, coming up. And just there now, to the right of nose, is Grasmere itself. So as mentioned, you can park up in Grasmere, and once there, you can take a really nice walk directly up the hill, which takes you to a place called Easdale Tarn. You can see the tarn here just on the left coming up, which is sheltered by this sort of surrounding mountain. I think it's about a 4 or 5 mile walk from the town of Grasmere. And I've not walked it for many years, but somewhere we used to go when you know, when I was younger. Used to really enjoy that. And that's it there. It's kind of in this little sheltered sort of area. It doesn't matter when you go. There seems to be people swimming in it as well, which I always think is mad because it must be freezing. You can see the path just below snaking its way all the way up. So once you get there, you can go a full circle. You can walk all the way around there, and it's a really, really nice walk, that one. But let's turn back towards the south, and we're going to go and head towards Coniston now. It's a shame I don't know where I'm getting that little bit of screen tearing from. I'm hoping that's not a result of me adding in that scenery pack that I bought, because I wasn't getting that before. Maybe I will take a look at that at some point. Off over to the left there, you can see there's Windermere again, Lake Windermere, and peeping ahead of us, just over these mountains, is Coniston Water. So just to the right of the nose, you've got Old Man Coniston, very famous mountain there, very popular walk, which I've also done many times. We'll just come to the left a little bit so we can swing on to Coniston Water. Yeah, Old Man is the Old Man of Coniston. On the way down, there are lots. I don't know if you can see them on here. I think they are modelled if you fly over, but there are there's lots of copper mines. It's actually quite dangerous. A lot of the old lifting gear, etc., is still there as you come down. They've tried to fence it off, but it is all still in there. So from the old, whoops, didn't mean to do that. From the old mining days, there's lots and lots of copper mines. I'm doing it again now. So another very interesting sort of area, and lots of history. So there we go. This is Coniston Water. As you can see, it is a bit straighter, isn't it? And the town of Coniston is just to the right of it, as you can see on this tip. Just to the right of the nose there, that's Coniston town. It is actually quite near to the coast, isn't it? So sometimes when we drive it in, we'll drive along the side of Lake Windermere, then we'll go up to Ambleside and come across to Coniston, and then we'll travel this direction to go back up to a place called Greenodd, which then takes you to the A590. Then you can go, as we're looking at it now, from right to left, back to the M6, and back down to the south. That is the Old Man of Coniston there. I think that is Goat's Water. I think that's Goat's Water there. Old Man is the sort of summit of Old Man is here, and the aforementioned copper mines, etc., are all the way down here. You can kind of see some scarring there for the copper mines. You can tell that's been quarried, etc. Very interesting place. So we'll follow Coniston Water out to the coast, and then we will look for that headland that we talked about and head back into Blackpool. And that will be our tour of the southernmost part of the Lake District. So I am going to trim again. Let me go back into the cockpit for this and see what the instruments are doing. Got Walney Island ahead of us. But what we're going to do is we're going to head slightly to the left here and come back across the bay again. some of these points of interest, actually, when you're new to the sim, they're actually quite handy. If you are starting to, I mean, I know my way around this area quite well, but if you're starting to be new, if you're new to the sim and you're starting to learn the area, then having these points of interest just gives you an additional bearing. You know, without having a map on your knee in front of you as you would in a real flight. So they're really quite useful. So I've not got everything left switched on, but I have got some switched on, because when you're travelling over a new area, it's also nice to be informed what it is you're flying over. Just provide some interest to the flight. There's some interest to the flight that you don't get when you're flying the big jets, because if you're doing a passenger run, we were talking on a stream earlier today, talking about doing a run from Heathrow to JFK in the Airbus. And once you've taken off, there's not a lot to do until you arrive on the US side. Whereas with this general aviation, you can fly at this kind of level. You can have a look. You can have a look around where you actually live, and you can pick up on points of interest and places you know, and you can soon while away the hours doing this. It's great. There is the headland we need to follow, so the Fleetwood, etc. is just there. So we can follow it round to Blackpool, which is what we'll do. Then we'll get permission to land on runway 10. Getting a little bit of sun glare there to the left. The reflection off the water is great, isn't it? They really have done a very nice job. Just looking at us climbing again very slightly, so I'll just retrim a little bit. Just needs a slight touch. Stick and rudder flying, I believe it's called, when you're not using the autopilot. So if you have a favourite aircraft that's available in the marketplace, why not check it out? Which is exactly what I did. The other one that I do want, I've mentioned it on a stream before, is the Chipmunk, the old RAF trainer, which of course was the first aircraft I ever flew in when I was an air cadet from RAF Woodvale. That one's available. That one's not available in the marketplace. That's a separate purchase. That one again is still £17, but I went for this one first because there's a lot more you can do in this as far as navigation, etc, etc. There's a little bit more playability in this one, so I went for this one first. But I will pick up the Chipmunk at some point. That's the next one definitely I've got my eye on. And we are 3,800 feet just at the moment. I'm going to turn slightly towards this this coast, although we do want to be out to sea just a little bit so that we can turn nicely onto runway 10 once we get level. This is Heysham over here. I think that must be the British Nuclear Fuels. I think that is a new piece of scenery that is coming as part of this scenery pack that I've put in. You're not meant to fly anywhere near that in real life. You'll get in trouble if you fly near there. So we're pretty safe now, but we'll leave it alone for now. At least I think that's what it is. If it isn't that, it is because we've got Walney Island, then it's Barrow, so it could be the submarine. The submarine works down at Barrow Docks. Could be that. Could be that actually, because they do still build submarines in Barrow. All very, very secret squirrel, of course, as you would expect. So we're just coming over the coast again, across the bay, and then we'll make our landing. We've actually come to 4,000 feet. We don't want to be that high, so let's just take it down a little bit, or else once we come into land we'll have a little bit of trouble actually getting down in time. So I'll just drop the nose slightly, take some of the power off just to compensate. Yeah, it's a shame I'm just getting that flickering occasionally, which I wasn't getting before, so I will take a look at that. That's us. So we need to contact Blackpool approach.
Blackpool approach Golf, Tango India November 3,500 feet. Golf, Tango India November Blackpool approach altimeter 29.9, 2 radar contact, continue.
Okay, so we are on the Blackpool approach. So what I will do is I will come up here and go to the nearest airport list. Blackpool is on there. We want a full stop landing.
Tango India November is 20 miles north 3,300 feet with Sierra to land. Golf, Tango India November Blackpool Tower. Altimeter 29.9, 2 wind calm fly left traffic runway 28.
Okay, so we have to land on runway 28, so we shall do that. So there is the pattern entry. We'll follow the pattern entry, shall we? And we'll do it the proper way. We need to be at 1,000 feet by the time we get to that pattern entry. So we'll take that off for now. There's a little bit of height coming off, so we're alright. Leaving the Lake District behind us. You can still see Lake Windermere right there, just above the tail. So the airspeed is good, engine's good. We will need to lose a little bit of height as we come in, so all's well. Still got 18 nautical miles until we get to the pattern entry. So I'm just going to put the nose down a little bit. I'm going to trim downwards as well. Just adjust that just so we can lose some height. And we only need to do it very steadily. We've still got quite a way to go. Blackpool itself is 15 nautical miles. Vertical speed just over 100 feet per minute. You can start to see the piers at Blackpool appearing there on the left hand side. So as this completely has no autopilot, we're going to fly this all the way in manually. We'll do the flaps, etc, etc, and we'll see how we get on. This is a landing that I've done in real life many times during the training, lots and lots of times. It's believe it or not, it's actually somewhat easier when you're in the aircraft itself because you can feel the aircraft, which is what you can't do in a sim. You can't quite replicate it. You're literally flying by the controls and by what the readouts are telling you, whereas you can almost fly the aircraft by feel. Anyone that flies a real aircraft will tell you that as well. So you'll never quite simulate the real experience, but it's still very good. Right, we have got just over 12 nautical miles till the pattern entry. And that distance is rapidly decreasing. So as you can see, we're not hugging the coastline as much as we did when we left Blackpool. We're a little bit out to sea, which will allow us to get into the pattern. It's actually quite exciting doing a landing. There's all this build up, as you can see now, and the excitement builds as you get nearer and nearer. You start decreasing your altitude, etc. I used to find the landing the best part of flying, strangely enough. Some people hate it. I hated the takeoff because I knew that if, 9 out of 10 times if something was going to happen, it would be when you're taking off, some kind of engine failure or something of that nature, which slightly used to put the wind up me, I'm not going to lie. The thought of it. However, the landing's great. You see the runway coming into sight, you're slightly dropping your height down, and these are quite easy to fly. Once you've done a few hours, you get the hang of it. And I always enjoyed the landing. I enjoyed just doing circuits, which is something you will do during flight training, going up, around in a kind of rectangle, back, touch and go, up again, around. You could do that for an hour and do several sort of touch and goes, and I always enjoyed that as well. And it's a very valuable part of flight training, really, because you get to do many sort of descents, ascents and descents in the same time period. So, but anyway, we're 6 nautical miles from Blackpool, and we need to just go a little bit past. So what we'll do is, as we pass Blackpool, we'll have a look to our left and take a look at the runway, which is especially useful if you're not familiar with the airport or airfield. Gives you a chance to have a look at the layout. What I did was I left the landing lights on the whole time. I should have took them off actually once we were in the air, but it doesn't matter. So the height's coming off quite nicely in that trim. There's the tower itself and the North Pier. It's quite good. You can see all 3 piers from up here. We've got the North just under the wing, then we've got Central Pier, and then just in the sunlight there you can just about make out the South Pier. Just passing through 1900 feet. Blackpool Airport is there. It's got the little marker on there. Pleasure Beach, which if you've been playing TSW4, you've seen a little bit of the Pleasure Beach. That's here. Here's the railway line from Train Sim World 4. That's the Sandcastle, I believe. So we are coming in from this end. We took off from this end. This is runway 10. This is runway 28. I think that's runway 13. And we'll shortly be turning in. So it seems to be quite a wide pattern, this one, but it's fine. We will follow it. So let's get some more speed off. We should probably announce where we are. Can we do that? I think it's just monitoring, isn't it? It knows we want to land. We don't need to sort of announce our position, I don't think. Just reducing speed slightly. We're a little bit high, but we can lose that. So I'm going to turn now. So we can be parallel with the runway, which is back there just behind the wing. Now Wharton is just ahead of us there. You'll see it as we come out of this turn. And we don't really want to be near that. That's a military British airspace landing strip airfield. We don't want to go near there at all. So there you can see runway 28 on our left hand side. So if I come in now with the runway on our left, then hopefully we'll get permission to land. Or we should. I'm not quite sure in the sim. There we go.
Clear to land runway 28 Tango India November.
Right, so we're clear to land, so that's good. Let's get rid of this box, and if we just look out of the window, we're not quite level yet. You can see the threshold. So we'll put a stage of flap in already, and let's turn in. The cabin is just obscuring where we need to be. So there's runway 28 on our left. So let's just carry forward a little bit, and then we'll turn on to the final. Reduce power just slightly. Put in a second stage of flap. So we need to reduce the speed, so I'm going to take some of the power off. We'll go for the third stage of flap. We'll just lift the nose, which will also take some of the power off. But what we don't want to do is stall it. So we can sort of hover it over the runway, reduce the speed, and eventually we will just nicely just kiss the tarmac as we come down. There we go. Let's get the power off. And if we hold X, then what we need to do is exit the runway. So we will do that here, and here are the markers. Let's clean the aircraft up as well, take all those flaps out, and we'll go over to the gate. So quite a nice little circular flight, isn't it, that? And what I like about this sim is you can do just that. You can fly from anywhere you want in the world. The freedom of doing that. And, you know, it is difficult at the beginning. It's difficult to, you know, learn properly how to fly the aircraft. And I mean, even I'm not proficient with it yet after so long away from it. But it's a sim that you can study and you can get into, and that's what I like about it. And it's really nice to be able to visit places that I know as well, like the Lake District right on the doorstep. We'll put a bit of speed in on the ground, and then we can get out of here, as it were. We also don't want to hold anybody up that might be behind us coming in. This is a long old taxi in. So yeah, a lot of these buildings here have appeared as a result of me adding in the scenery pack, the Orbix Central UK. Blackpool's very upgraded since then, which is quite nice. And this is our little parking spot. So we will just turn it in off here. Let me just put a bit more power in. And we'll put it just there. Let's go back in. Put the parking brake on. What we'll do is we'll cut the mix. We will turn off the alternator. And there we go. So total time of flight 47 minutes. That wasn't bad, was it? I really enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me for this. I am an amateur at this. I'm just finding my way, so I do appreciate you sticking with me on it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that little tour of the Lake District. Maybe you're not familiar with the Lake District, but I do hope you've enjoyed it. Do leave me a like. Let me know if you want to see some more. Take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.